coming online. You're muted, Annie.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, and everyone in the room can hear you.
Hey.
So I am going to do
Ooh.
a brief introduction. Um, so this is our keynote speaker for the day. She's our lunch speaker, and her name is Annie Bond. And I met Annie. I had the pleasure of meeting her at a Young Survivor Coalition conference several years ago. And she is a young metastatic breast cancer patient who has been living with the disease for 12 years. Is that right?
10 years.
10 years.
Soon to be 12.
Okay, good.
In 2 years.
And she is a comedian and actress and has a very good perspective on her diagnosis. And she's going to share about her fantastic metastatic life. So I'm going to turn it over to her.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm so sorry I'm not there in person. United did not want their airplanes to work yesterday, so I did my best. But it's so great that everyone is here. Thank you for caring about metastatic breast cancer because unfortunately, I have to care about it so much. Like my life depends on it, you know? Caroline, I think I'll have to have you run the slides if that's okay.
Yep.
And I'll just tell you when to go next. So, my name is Annie. As she said, I'm about to celebrate 10 years since my diagnosis. On August 5th, 2015 was my original diagnosis. This is my dog in this picture here. That's Lemon. She's perfect, as you can tell. And I've got a fantastic metastatic life. So let's go to the next slide. Let's pop it on over.
I'm going to try.
It's going to be great. I know it. It's going to go right through. I hope everyone is excited to talk about terminal illnesses at lunch because that's how we do. I talk about death. You guys eat some salad. It's a good balance in life. That's what we all need. What do you think? Is it popping over to the
I,
next
I,
one?
I might have to share a different screen here. Let's see.
That's okay. There we go. That looks good.
And this is it's not moving through. So let's see if I can do it. There we go.
Oh, there we go. That's me and Barney, my childhood best friend. So, a little brief history about me. I was raised out here in Texas on a chicken farm. I've got a big, loving family. Always wanted to be a sitcom star. So, I moved to LA, started doing comedy, was like, look at my life, look at me go. And then, of course, when I was 25, I felt a lump out of nowhere. And I was like, this is weird. I'm so young. I don't have any family history of breast cancer. I was a vegetarian. I'm a good person. I felt like I've got good karma. There's no way this is going to be anything. And I had a few doctors, unfortunately, say the words to me, you're too young for cancer. You have nothing to worry about, which seems maybe harmless. It's not. It's one of the most harmful things you can say. So I hope as a group right now, let's all agree to never tell anyone that they're too young for cancer because it's also just scientifically incorrect. So that unfortunately delayed my diagnosis about 9 months. So once I finally got somebody to take my lump and the swelling in my armpit seriously, I was diagnosed stage 4 metastatic breast cancer right off the bat, ER/PR positive, HER2 negative, Mets to my liver. And also a fun fact that I'm sure all of you will understand is I have luminal B cancer. So it's by some strange morbid lottery, a bit slower growing, a bit more treatable. So that was good news within all the bad news. We always look for the glimmers. You can go to the next slide, Caroline. And then here's me about to get surgery. As you can see, we keep the fun going. There were too many all of my early treatment photos are basically just me with a Snapchat filter over it. So that's really professional now as I do advocacy as I do. So for my treatment, because I know you guys want the juicy details, you science people. So I froze my eggs first, which was against the recommendation of my oncologist at the time. The exact words he used were that he would fire me as a patient if I froze my eggs. He hadn't brought up any fertility stuff to me yet. It was actually a nurse who had brought it up while I was getting one of my many biopsies. So while I do understand it is, of course, dangerous to put estrogen in your body when you have estrogen positive cancer that's already spread to your liver, and if it spread past my liver, it would, limit all my things. I do think there was a much better way for him to say that. My treatment, I feel very lucky for because of the timing. I had started on tamoxifen. It kept everything pretty stable. Then we switched to Ibrance just because it wasn't shrinking as quickly as we wanted it to. If you know anything about Ibrance, about palbociclib, that one came out just a few months before my diagnosis was when it was approved. So it was very lucky timing. And I had a liver resection. I had a lumpectomy with some lymph node resection. I had about 8 weeks of radiation to that area. Plus, we didn't get clean margins on my liver resection. So we also did most of the abdomen as well. And then my body hated Lupron, any of those medicines. Just, I couldn't eat anymore. And that quality of life was not fun for me. So I said, take the ovaries. I don't want them anymore. Take them out. So I did all of that. And the good news, which I feel like as a group of medical professionals, this should give you a lot of hope, is that Ibrance has been my most successful treatment. So I am still on Ibrance. I started taking it in 2016, I think around the end of 2016, and I've been on it ever since. I'm on the highest dosage, 125 milligrams. I have never gotten IV chemo. I understand at any point anything can change. That's the fun part of living with this disease. But I am very grateful to see that we are able to treat more people in this way because as far as lifelong side effects go, they're just less. But of course, we want to save the life. That is the most important thing. But if we can do it while increasing the quality of life, let's keep doing that, all right? You can go to the next slide, Caroline. So this is what most people assume it's like having breast cancer, especially having metastatic breast cancer. We've got our pink boxing gloves on. We're in our pink underwear. We're drinking pink. The pink is the power. We're doing so good. This photo shoot even I did really quickly after my diagnosis. I don't know why I was still pushing myself to go on auditions. I showed up to this one and had no idea it was an underwear shoot. So that was a fun day. I was like, oh, Lord. They hand me the costume and I was like, this is what I'm wearing. It's like, I should really remember to read things. But, I was a little busy getting my body cut open all the time. You can go to the next slide where we can see what it's actually like having metastatic breast cancer. This is more the reality. We were living in a constant fire, just sitting there in our fun little hat, trying to drink our fun little drink and convincing ourselves that everything is fine. We're doing great. Life is wonderful. I swear. You can go to the next slide. That is just an accurate representation of me. But this is what metastatic breast cancer actually looks like. And I do want to point out, this is a group of women that we were at, as Caroline was saying, the Young Survival Coalition Summit, where I met her a couple years ago. This is the same one from this year. So I hosted the metastatic portion there. Every woman you see in this photo has metastatic breast cancer. This is the largest group we've ever had at this event. And I can't tell you how incredible this group of women is. Like, there are people in this photo who have been living with metastatic disease for over 25 years. I mean, you couldn't point them out. There are people newly diagnosed, and we laughed, we cried. I did a Taylor Swift cancer-themed sing-along at this coalition. We just had the greatest time ever. So when you think about metastatic breast cancer, I would like for you to just take a minute, look at this picture. You can see just the joy in these faces. Like that is the reality. Is like, yes, we all have these crazy scars and stories and all of this, but when we come together and when we get the opportunity to experience joy, my God, we experience it more than anybody in the whole world. And I love that about our community so much. I believe there were about 75 to 100 attendees with metastatic disease, all under 40. Important point. Everybody's under 40. So fun fact. You can go to the next slide. So there are many unique challenges of living with this disease. We're never done with treatment or checkups. I recently had the great thrill of learning I could get scans instead of every 3 months, every 6 months. And then even cooler, now I only have to get my blood work done every other month. So like, go me, not to brag, humble brag. But we're never done with all of that. So we're constantly navigating insurance. We're constantly navigating our careers with that. I mean, we have to, this is a job, and it is a job that has to always take top priority because our life depends on it. We also have side effects of these ongoing treatments. I've loved seeing how much focus is going into side effects. I always really encourage my fellow survivors and patients to report their side effects because we can't make things better for each other if we're not accurately reporting our side effects. But the side effects are so fun. I am the sweatiest woman in the world. I will go from being so chill to all of a sudden there is a fire inside, and I will put it out with the amount of sweat coming off of me. The hyper awareness of our mortality. Hey, that's fun. Hey, that just came out of nowhere. There's a blessing in there for sure, but it will give you anxiety. You do have a good amount of anxiety from that. We also have a complex form of PTSD that I think is very unique. I go to City of Hope in California. That's where most of my treatment has been. I absolutely love that hospital. Shout out to anybody who works at any City of Hopes out here. Y'all really living up to the name. And my oncologist had recommended me to work with I believe, a psychiatrist they had there. And she's specifically studying the type of complex PTSD in cancer survivors, especially in young cancer survivors, because again, it's a non-ending thing for metastatic disease. So there's always developments of it. And it is difficult to live with, but we can live with it and live wonderfully with it. We have a never-ending state of uncertainty, which is not unique, unfortunately, in today's society. But for us, it's very deep and constant. There's a sense of otherness, which as a little weird kid raised on a chicken farm, I've always felt, but this definitely catapults it. I think that's why when we're in those groups, like in that kind of community, we get such strength and power from that because it's so hard to get this disease, to live with this disease every day, and then try to relate to your peers. Like, catch me at a bar, sitting there being like, so what do you do? How many cancers have you had? It doesn't always, not always relatable to everybody. By far, the hardest part of having metastatic breast cancer is losing your friends to it. That's when I started doing advocacy. That's something that really drives me because I meet some of the most incredible young women, just people, these full, incredible human beings that do everything right, that should have gotten more time, that fight and fight and fight. And this disease is cruel and it is unfair. And so that is by far, to me, the worst challenge that we deal with. Life keeps going. Other stuff happens. My dad has angiosarcoma. That's a fun one, right? If you guys don't know about, I think 200 people get that a year. He got it from working on a nuclear submarine when he was in the Navy. But he's doing great. He's about 3 years out now. But yeah, that, of course, to me was very triggering. I had a huge fight with my sister about anchovies for no reason after my dad's scan day. I was like, why am I screaming about anchovies? And I'm like, oh, right, because I have PTSD and this is a very triggering situation. And also, we could die from it, maybe. LOL, that's a fun thing. You can go to the next slide, Caroline. So because of all of these new parts of my life, these new big changes that I've had over the past 10 years, which if you don't know, when I was first diagnosed, I did get 2 to 5 years to live. But hey, not today, Satan. So I've come up with some new rules for my life. And if you see in this picture, there's some subtle messages there. I was just in DC fighting for these things. Unfortunately, a bill still passed, but that's okay. You can go to the next slide. So my first rule for life, which I think these apply to everybody, not just metastatic people, but my God, can we please impart some wisdom on you? And my first wisdom is to be delusional. Please be a little more delusional. If I had believed that I only had 2 to 5 years to live, which I did believe that, but a part of me always knew, you know what, maybe not. Maybe you'll get more time. So it is a very silly thing as far as like, I think every cancer survivor is a unicorn because what is a unicorn if not a horse with abnormal growth? Like it's got a tumor, like we're all unicorns and we're magical and awesome. So that's like a fun thing, but then it's also serious in the way that we have to believe that we will survive. We have to believe that we're able to do it. Because if I were to just sit and WebMD myself all the time, I would just be convinced that I was going to die. And listen, I've gone through phases where I have done that. I always say they should make a WebMD specifically for people who already know they have cancer. So it doesn't just keep telling me I have cancer. I'm like, no, I understand that part. Like, let's go to the next part. Like, make us an advanced version. Have an alter ego. I think there's a lot of power in an alter ego. As we know, there's a new Superman movie coming out, Clark Kent. But what I did was my first name is Dorothy, my legal name. I've always gone by Annie. I'm not trying to be edgy, I swear. But when I was at the hospitals, they'd always be calling me Dorothy. And so I would always say, well, Dorothy has cancer. Annie's fine. Like once I leave, I'm Annie. Like Annie's just living her life. Dorothy has cancer. Like worry about her, okay? Embrace the weird. Life is weird. There's so much weird stuff about cancer. And I feel like the more we try to force things to fit into a mold, it just doesn't work. It's no way to live. There's so many better things to do. I like to come up with fun diagnosis theories, for example. Like maybe I was abducted by aliens and they got a little too frisky with the probe and the boob and they left something in there. You know, you can't prove I wasn't. So I have asked my oncologist. He says he doesn't think I was abducted by aliens, but again, can't be confirmed. Could have been cursed by the ancients. You know, you never know. I think delusion also works really well for scanxiety because, oh man, scanxiety is so fun. Again, when I'm in the tube sometimes, in one of the many tubes I spend so much time in, if I start to feel a little anxious, feelings can just come up no matter how many years we've been doing this. I like to picture, I've looked up a lot of photos of animals who have to get scanned. And so like I can see like I'm like, oh, I'm just a sedated gorilla laying in here. I'm just a little fish in a sponge. Like I'm doing great. But then also, you know, I could also just be sitting there being like, man, the aliens are out there right now and they've already probed me too much. And if I move in this scan, if I move during this MRI, they're going to abduct me again. So I better stay really still. So it works out well, you know, be a little delusional. What's it going to hurt? Dream big. Come on. You only get so much time. You could be diagnosed with stage 4 cancer tomorrow. My other rule is hope is a superpower. Hope is something that is necessary, not delusional. And it is the most important thing when it feels the most impossible. I went through when I was first lost my close friend who also had metastatic disease. I started to get like hyper realistic with myself. I was like, God, all this positivity I'm doing, like this is toxic positivity. This is not realism. Like I'm supposed to be realistic about that. And that was the worst thing I ever could have done for myself because all it did was made me lose the will to live. Because when we can't see hope, when we can't see this thing that is beyond reason, that is just something that has to exist, then we don't have power. So when I can feel hopeful, when I know like maybe the good thing will happen, maybe I just have to believe in the good thing or it won't. That's how I have strength to endure anything that comes along. Because especially with metastatic disease, we know that we're living on borrowed time. We're like, it's like Final Destination, I always say, where it's like, you never know when the blow of the wind could be the thing that knocks over the theoretical logs on the back of the truck. Also having hope and being able to stay hopeful is something that inspires us to keep going and to use this pain into something that's very powerful. Like if I didn't have hope, I wouldn't be doing what I do now. I wouldn't have the strength to come on and talk if I just let myself fall into so much survivor's guilt, into all this heavy stuff and just say, this is the reality. I'm going to die of this disease. So I better just buckle in and get ready for that. No, I want to be able to be strong, to be hopeful. And it also allows us to dream. If I couldn't, I would have never dreamed early on that I would be here, that I would be here 10 years later, that I would have the quality of life I have, that I would have the health that I have. I went through, 2 years of constant surgeries and poking and prodding. And even now I still have had many recurrence scares, all kinds of things. And throughout that, hope is such an incredible thing. And that's why I think that of anything in the world, the ability, especially of my community, to stay hopeful is proof of magic. I always refer to the image of a flower growing out of a crack in a sidewalk. I think that's who we are because when I meet these women that have everybody's diagnosed with terminal illnesses, these people have children, these people have loved ones, we have whole lives that we care about, that we want to keep living. And throughout, you can balance that realism with hope. So we know what's going to happen. We know all of these things, but we also know that the good thing could also happen. We could also be here 10 years later and on the same line of treatment for 7, almost 8 years. That's magical. That's incredible. So stay hopeful no matter what, because you never know when you're going to need it. Celebrate everything. This is a picture of me on a cancer anniversary. We love a diagnosis anniversary. I'm about to have my 10-year one in August, as we were saying. No, 12 years will be fun too when that comes along. But like my dream has been to go to New Zealand. I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan. If you can't tell, I like a little magic. I like a little fantasy. So my dream is to go to Hobbiton for my 10-year cancer anniversary. I'm going to be doing it a few months late, but like I'm planning a whole weekend where I'm just going to do things that I love to do. I'm somebody who hates my birthday. I feel like my birthday is a reminder of age, of like me aging. But my cancer anniversary is a reminder of life, of like, oh, I get another year. Like, look at how much I've done, like, since this. So I would say always treat yourself after a hard thing, even if it's just a little hard, even if it's just like, I'm not in a good mood today, get a little treat. You deserve a little treat. There's nothing wrong with getting a little treat. The little things should be celebrated the most. Like, that matters so much. I think that truly is like when I had to write a will when I was 26 years old, I wasn't looking at every little thing I own. I was thinking about my animals and just being like, I want to make sure my animals are protected if I die, that like somebody's going to take care of my dog and my cats. I wanted to just make sure that like the people that I loved knew how much I loved them. I was never thinking about like, oh, I'm so sad I didn't accomplish this huge thing. I was thinking about, God, I hope I get a million more nights to just like laugh with the people that I love. Like, and that is like to me, like that is just an ultimate celebration. So if you in your life feel like, oh, this little thing, it's like, it doesn't matter that much, I promise you it does. And the more that you start to celebrate yourself, the more you will appreciate your life. And I think that if you can learn that without having to go through the trauma of getting a terminal illness, do it because it's fun. Okay. Again, diagnosis anniversaries, encourage people to celebrate those. Celebrate them yourself if that applies to you, and celebrate it to the nines. Like, go all out in whatever way that means for you. For me, that means forcing my friends to do the things that I want to do for a whole weekend. I'm thinking of it like a bachelorette party. Like, yeah, we're all doing karaoke. I'm going to make you watch all my favorite movies and listen to me explain why I like them. Like, that to me, dream come true. Plan the trip too. I feel like as a society, we've started putting everything off, and I understand life and money and all of that, but just plan it. Unfortunately, I can no longer subscribe to the American ideal of working until retirement and then enjoying your life, because again, I'm living on borrowed time, and I hope I get to borrow so much more time. But just go on the trip. Take the week off. You won't regret it because you are worth celebrating. Your life is worth celebrating. And I want you to appreciate it so much. So go to the next slide. Like, look how happy I am with that little cake. Come on. Come on. Everything in moderation, including moderation. Food will not cure or cause cancer. I will hear no arguments on that because let me tell you what happened to me in my first year of treatment. I developed orthorexia, which is an eating disorder around the idea of the obsession of healthy eating. Because in 2015, there weren't people like me on the internet making content that's educational and that is true. I was just reading whatever I could. Somebody's weird uncle would send me an email telling me all the reasons I caused my own cancer. And instead of the educated person I am now being able to take that in and know what's true and what's not, I just believed everything. So I can't tell you how many crash diets I've been on, how much time I spent in the grocery store crying over ketchup bottles because everything has sugar in it. And if I touch, like, I just couldn't even eat anymore, not just because I was nauseous all the time, but because I felt horrible about everything. I felt like everything I did was my fault. Anything I put in my body was my fault. Any single drink I'd had in college, it was my fault that I was sick. Anytime I was near somebody who smoked a cigarette, like every single thing I took on to be my fault. It was me, 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 me. And that's, again, no way to live. So I say you can enjoy everything you want, except maybe grapefruit, depending on the medications you're on. Me personally, I can't enjoy grapefruit anymore, and I'm definitely not salty about it at all. Health, in my opinion, which given I'm talking to a group of doctors here, health is a concept, okay? As somebody with a terminal illness, this is something I have to believe. So take that with however you want. But I do think it's all about how you feel. So for me, I'm like, I want to feel good. I want to feel strong. I want to feel healthy. But I also sometimes want to feel like I'm allowed to have a margarita at my friend's wedding. And I am, It's all about the everyday. It's about consistency and it's about what's best for you because what's best for my body and my mind is not always going to be what's best for everybody else. Um, I do also think something that I have to bring up when we're talking about moderation is cancer patients, we will talk about our bowels a lot. And that is because you guys give us all of these things that mess up our bowels so much. Surgeries, my God. Pooping becomes the most important thing in the world. So please never be afraid to talk to us about fiber, to talk to us about the importance of stool softeners. The best advice I've ever gotten. Let me talk to you about poop while you're eating lunch. Poop and death. No better lunch topics than poop and death. I had my doctor's main nurse practitioner when I was getting all these surgeries in a row told me, she goes, you know what, for every pain pill you take at least one stool softener, maybe two. Saved my life, that advice. Really good advice. Don't be afraid to talk to people about poop. Other people's opinions of your life are actually none of your business. Unless you're doing something harmful, you would know you're doing that, I would hope, and stop doing that. But other people are always going to have opinions of you. I get people's unsolicited opinions all the time, especially being a public figure. Everyone's always telling me what I'm doing wrong, which weird tea I should be drinking, this and that. And you know what? They're allowed to have their opinions, and it's none of my business unless I have hired them as a doctor with a professional, degree and expertise to talk to me. It's none of my business because life is short and you're allowed to have fun. And I promise you, if you're looking at writing a will, if you're looking at death, if you're looking at, man, is my life going to be cut short? You're not going to be feeling ashamed of the margarita you had at your friend's wedding. You're going to be wishing you had a second one and that you didn't sit around feeling so ashamed of the one margarita you had. So this is something I've really had to teach myself because as somebody I considered myself a very healthy person who got sick. It was a very hard thing for me to face that I didn't have as much control over my health with my diet as I thought I did. But I do know that the way that I feel and the way that my body feels, that is about what I eat and what I put in my body, but also the way that I speak to myself and the way that my relationship with food is. So please know that cancer patients, we're always trying to figure everything out and control it. And food is unfortunately the thing that people talk to us about the most. So don't be worried if we talk about it a lot. You can go to the next slide. Do it scared. Now, this one has been a new one for me. That's a picture of me rappelling off of a 14-story building. That's psychotic for me. I just want you to know I'm terrified of heights. I'm terrified of falling specifically. I've always said skydiving. Why would I do that? How silly. My dad, when I told him I was going to do this, says, if you die from that, I'm going to laugh at you. And I was like, and you would be allowed to if I get through cancer and I die rappelling off a building to raise money for cancer research. The only reason I would do it. But I was so scared the whole time. But what I have learned is that facing fears gives you strength. And it doesn't always have to be something as big as rappelling off of a 14-story building. But I am really glad I did that because in my time, I feel like with metastatic disease, either we become more afraid or less afraid. I have friends who are not afraid of anything anymore because they're like, well, what's the worst that can happen? I already have stage 4 cancer. I kind of go the opposite way of like, I want to try to control and be safe and like, oh my gosh, like do everything safe I can. That's why I feel shame around a margarita sometimes. But fear is a warning. It's not a stop sign. Your body, your anxiety, your survival instinct, which gets so strong. Like when I was first diagnosed, I kept feeling it and I didn't know until a therapist told me like that's a real thing. Like you're really like your body, just adrenaline's running through. It's crazy. So like you do feel insane and out of control. But to face that and to say to your anxiety, to say to that fear, let me try. I know it's safe. Like I'm surrounded by the fire department in this photo that you can't see. This is like the safest way to do something like this. So they said when I was climbing out the window, I was definitely doubting that. But I just feel like when we face these fears, it takes away a little bit of the anxiety. And even if you're just doing it once to prove a point, it really gives you a little more control. And you can't live in fear of the things that you can't control. Trust me, I do, and I try not to. And the most helpful thing for me is to emulate brave people I admire. Some people, and that of course are my real friends in life, like my friends Alyssa, who runs this great nonprofit called We Got This, which is a registry for cancer patients. I'm always plugging her because it's such a great organization. They arranged for cancer survivors to be able to do this because it's for cancer research. Because she's somebody who's so brave. She's somebody who's very much on the side of like, what's the worst that could happen? I've already got metastatic breast cancer. Like, let's go. You can also take that into fictional people. Like anytime, for example, anytime I put on a blazer, I am Elle Woods. I'm just emulating Elle Woods. That confidence of like, what, like it's hard to get into Harvard, to survive metastatic breast cancer, to talk to some doctors. Like I can teach y'all some stuff too. Okay. Or if you've read the books Throne of Glass, I will also try to embody someone like Aelin Galathinius, which if you hadn't read those books, you should, so that you can say the word Aelin Galathinius a lot because it makes you sound smart. Risk versus reward. This is something that has always gone into play in my medical care of what's the risk of this treatment versus what's the reward of it. Because as we know, everything has a big risk. That also applies to your life. For me, I knew this was a risk. Of course, the rope could break, all of that. All these things could go wrong. But I knew that what if they don't? What if I try and they don't? The reward of knowing that I did it, I knew that I would feel so proud of myself. And so I'm always, when I'm facing a big decision, when I'm facing a fear, I will always write those things down, like put those things down so that I know, is this worth the risk for the reward? I used to laugh at affirmations. Let me be so frank. And I love a yoga. I love doing a yoga. Okay. The breath works great for scans. I love stretching my body. And there's always a thing where they like say, you know, a little saying to yourself. So the whole time I'm going down this building, I'm telling myself, I am brave. I am strong. I'm brave. I'm strong. There's a really embarrassing GoPro footage of this. And then as we're going down and I'm kind of freezing up, because again, my survival instinct's taking over, one of the guys was like, just remember, you're safe. You're in a bread basket. So I'm not just going, I'm brave, I'm strong. I'm going, I'm brave, I'm strong. I'm in a bread basket. I'm a bread basket. And it worked. I mean, halfway down that building, I thought I was going to freeze up and have to stop because it was very scary. And I just kept saying how much of a brave, strong bread basket I am. And it got me through it. And so my motto on life, anytime I feel like putting myself in a bubble, putting myself in the safety net that keeps me from living to the fullest, I remember that to live will be an awfully big adventure. And that's a Peter Pan thing. And I do love Peter Pan because that's all life is. It's an adventure. And maybe that adventure brings some really big, crazy risks and diseases and this and that. But we only get one big adventure. So just try to live it. You can go to the next slide here, where there's a really pretty picture of me crying. Ooh, stop. Everyone stop falling in love. You need to feel your feelings, okay? Let's say it again, especially for the people of the boomer generation. You need to feel your feelings. If my dad is listening somehow, feel your feelings. There are no bad feelings. Early on, I used to get these silent panic attacks where I would like get through my appointments. I'm not crying. I'm doing so well. Why is mom crying so much? And then I'd all of a sudden get tunnel vision and I wouldn't be able to hear. And I was like, that's so silly that that weird thing keeps happening. Those were silent panic attacks because I was doing such a good job of suppressing my feelings that they were just exploding in weird ways that I didn't even know what it meant. And it was making my anxiety worse. It was making everything worse. There is a difference between expression of your feelings and an explosion of your feelings. And my God, it is so much healthier to just express them, to have these safe places to land, to have safe people. For example, last night when we have to deplane 3 times, and I'm like, oh no, I'm not going to make it. Like, I need I live on a farm right now. I need a good place to do this Zoom. I have safe places to land. I have a wonderful best friend who, when I show up, she's already got me tea made. She's hyping me up this morning. Like, we all need these safe places where we feel like we can say anything. And especially when it comes to cancer, there's so much pressure to be okay and to be physically, to fight this physical fight, that we forget our brains. We forget that our minds are going through these crazy gymnastics of just trying to be okay. But there's no way to be okay if you are pushing everything down until it becomes this crazy bomb that explodes. And then you express it in some way where either you end up hurting somebody, or you just feel awful afterwards, and it makes the shame even worse because you did it in the wrong way. And when we suppress these feelings, we again will have panic attacks. It'll get us more anxiety and depression. It'll cause extreme stress, feeling like a burden. This is such a big thing in the cancer community that people hate talking about, because we feel like, well, I should feel lucky if I'm okay. Well, I should, I should feel this way. There's no should. You should feel exactly how you feel. That's the only should. And I feel like I used to think I wasn't worthy of being an advocate because I didn't get chemo, or that I wasn't as good as these other people, or my story wasn't good enough. And it really, each story is so important. And especially as doctors too, you should never feel like you have to just be okay. You deal with so much. I don't know how you guys do it. I don't know how you see so much of this. And I really hope that all of you have a safe space to land, somebody to make you tea. Just, I hope everybody has that. I will talk a little bit about, again, let's talk about poop and death and suicidal thoughts at lunch. Always a good time. What I was talking about earlier with, just feeling all of these craziness and like how hard it is with the survivor's guilt and everything. A lot of cancer survivors deal with suicidal thoughts, and it's a really confusing thing. And it took me years to talk about my own. And once I did, and once I was speaking to more people about it, I realized how not alone I was in this, and how all of us think it's not okay to express that, because it's so confusing to, on the one hand, only want to live, like to desperately want to live, but then be like, but what is this life that I didn't get to choose? And is this fight worth it? Am I, like, we have to be able to express those in a safe way to be able to see the light again, to be able to get that hope again. And that's again why hope is a superpower and a really, really important thing. And also when you're suppressing all of your feelings, it's just an overall bad time for everybody. For you, for the people around you, even your dog's gonna pick up on it. So just, cry it out, scream it out, dance it out, whatever you gotta do, just feel it. Please, please do it. Don't push it down. And if you want to take a crying selfie, go for it. Actually be kind to yourself. And I say that in a lecturing tone. Actually be kind to yourself. It's really hard for us to, like, the golden rule is what? Treat others the way you want to be treated. We treat ourselves like shit, okay? I live more by the treat yourself the way you would want somebody you love to be treated. Because whereas I can say a bunch of mean things to myself, you say a mean word to my friend, to my sister, to my parents, I'm gonna kick you in the butt. Like, let's just be with my words, not physically. I'm not very strong. But I had a therapist once, because I've done so much therapy, as everyone should, especially people with cancer or in the cancer fields. She had me write down all the things I hate about myself, and then all the things I like about myself, and read them back. And as I was writing all the things I hate about myself, I was like going at it, like having a great time. And then I'm writing the things I like, and I'm like, well, I guess I'm funny, and like blah, blah, blah. And then when I'm reading it back, I was shocked because I realized, oh, I'm a bully. Like, I'm a mean person. And something I value greatly about who I am is my kindness, is how I show up for people, is all of that. And I realized, oh, I can't even consider myself to be a kind and good person if this is how I treat myself. If I can sit here and read these things and realize that. Like, I would really encourage you to do that exercise. It was honestly life-changing for me because it's so easy to be mean to ourselves. But my God, we don't want to be mean to the people we love. And we all know that feeling of like, it's like when you're telling a joke about your sister and then somebody else that says the joke and you're like, no, you can't make that joke. I can make that joke. Like, you better shut up. That's my sister. Like, treat yourself that way, how you would want them to be treated in that situation. Again, something I used to be like, whatever, at inner child work. You don't got to get too into it, but you pick a picture like this, and I'll tell you what, when you're feeling real down on yourself and you go look at that little picture of little Annie, who's just got nothing but dreams in the world and wants to go look at rocks and play in the woods, like I am always happy to live for that girl, to treat that girl really well. It's something that for me I found very helpful. So I think if you can just find one picture of yourself as a kid that really just kind of captures your spirit in a way, it's something really helpful to go and revisit anytime you're doing that, getting real into getting down on yourself and being like, oh, maybe I'm a jerk. Reframe the way you talk about your body. I've talked about some of my own eating issues, but especially, in cancer treatment, there's a lot of, we get amputations, we get all kinds of cut up. I had a lumpectomy, and I'll tell you what, my after 10 years after a lumpectomy, one of my breasts is aging a lot quicker than the other one. So my nipples are googly eyes right now, which is very fun. But every time I look in the mirror, this is my general rule of thumb, and I have something negative to say about what I'm seeing, I have to say something positive. It's just a balance. And in doing that little thing and just like making myself do that, that's become a lifelong thing for me. And it's really reframed the way that I not only talk to myself, but the way that I look at myself every time I look in a mirror. I don't always think something negative. Every time I'm like, oh God, your hair looks bad today, or like, who invented those eyes, you crazy looking googly lady? I always have to say something nice. And it's really just helped me to love myself more. And I think it's really hard to love your body. Like, we all struggle a lot with that. So just balancing the negative with the positive is a really simple way to kind of rewire that in your brain. Never stop learning. Isn't learning the best? I didn't even know what my liver did until I had tumors in it. No idea. It does a lot. It's regenerative. It's incredible. Like, keep learning about life and your body and hobbies. Like, pick up a weird hobby. We love a weird hobby. Don't mind me. I've got a little dry spot in my throat. That's better. Advocate for your health. Obviously, something very important. Saved my life. Don't mind that. I'm getting over a sinus infection. This is a really fun part. And we're good. I think we've cleared it. Okay. Advocate for your health and live your silly little life. You only get one, live it. You can go to the next slide. Good Lord. That's that. That's that goddamn immune system, I tell you what. Laugh a lot more. Impossible to go through life without so many embarrassing stories. My favorite moment with my oncologist was not just when I'm coughing at him like I am with you. Early on in treatment, I was, again, getting a lot of surgeries. We're talking about what that does to your bowels and all of that. I had found something on my body that I thought, oh my God, I have a tumor in a weird place. I'm like, this must be part of they must have missed this. They must not have showed up on the scan. At that point, I'm going to the doctor like every day. So I'm like, I'll just tell them tomorrow. So I show up, I go to the doctor. I'm like, hey, I found a tumor. I'm really worried about it. He's like, you found a tumor? Like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, well, let me show you. So I drop my pants and I show him my butthole because I had a hemorrhoid. And I'd never had a hemorrhoid in my whole life. And I was convinced that I had a butthole mets. I was like, there is a metastasis on my butthole. And it was not. And he did laugh. And I, at first was like, how dare you laugh at me? He's like, that's a hemorrhoid, honey. Didn't call me honey. He's got good bedside manner. But that was a really, really fun Really fun part of it. And again, with this, like with cancer, I also used to, when I was getting my eggs frozen, especially because I don't know why fertility doctors are always like young and hot. It's like a thing. Shout out to the fertility doctors. But I used to always pretend, like when I was in the hospital, that it was Grey's Anatomy. Like I got really into watching Grey's Anatomy while going through treatment, which usually you'd think it'd be the opposite. Like you wouldn't want to watch that. It made it more fun because I would get to the hospital, everybody's walking around and whispering and stuff, and I'm like, "Ooh, I wonder who's fucking who." Like, what do you know? You know, makes it fun. Probably none of you. You're all professionals, but you know, you can't go through life, especially through cancer. There's so many embarrassing things about cancer, especially involving poop. Let's keep talking about poop while you're eating. I hope everyone's still eating. Uh, Laughter is actually medicine. It's the best medicine besides actual medicine, is usually what I say. As a comedian, of course, I love laughter. It relaxes your body when you laugh. You burn calories, apparently. This is all according to the internet that I've learned this. Apparently, it boosts the immune system, so mine should be a lot stronger. Unfortunately, it's not. It also protects your heart somehow. Like, that's beautiful, okay? And I always think, too, that when you feel really down or stuck, that it's very helpful to laugh like a cartoon villain. So hopefully this won't make me cough again. But I would like to invite you all to join me for a moment in laughing like a cartoon villain. And don't you go all professional doctor on me and not participate just because I can't see you because I couldn't get on this flight, all right? Let's all laugh. Ready? I can't hear you. Keep going. I will steal the crown from you. See? And don't you all feel a little silly and a little bit better? You've got to laugh. And honestly, I think it's so great to be able to just find a funny thing no matter what. So, what I would like for you to take away from this is these top five. There's my doctor right there, Dr. James Wiseman. If you know him, he's retired. Unfortunately, he waited till the young age of 85 to retire, but literally love him so much. Best doctor in the world. And so, if there's five things I'd like you to take, these are them for the metastatic community. Number one, we are mentally unwell. We seem very strong. We handle it all, whatever, with grace, whatever you want to say. There's so many mental hurdles. Please don't forget our mental health. Please know that like we will put it off and that it's such an just underrepresented part of care is the mental toll that it takes on us. And we've touched on some of these topics of we all have suicidal thoughts. We have these crazy panic attacks. We push things down. We push things down. We try so hard to be okay for everybody. We need somebody to just see that and just hear us and just recognize that toll so that we can heal from it because we will convince ourselves that it's nothing. And as doctors, I would hope that you can validate that and bring it up to people so that they can get the help they need. Number two, we can handle the truth. I feel like we try to sugarcoat a lot of things in this. We know. We got it. Just give us the truth. Don't do a little dance around it as much as you might want to do a jig. We all love doing a jig, but please just give us the truth. We know it. We can handle it. Number three, bedside manner matters. I'm just going to put that out there. It matters. I know that it's not the most important part of care, but my God, it matters. And I have met many doctors, so many doctors, some with great bedside manner. And it doesn't mean that you have to be witty, you have to be funny, anything like that. Just, just remember, we're going through it too. We got a long day too. Let's just get a little bedside manner, that's all. Number four, we are nosy because our life depends on it. We are going to ask you a lot of questions. We are going to bring you research. We are going to ask you about drugs. We're going to ask you about supplements. We're going to ask you about diet because it's all we can focus on. We are not in the community of early stage breast cancer survivors. We have unique needs and we all become advocates because we have to, because it's our life. When we are willing to do anything to keep living it. So please let us ask questions. Please let us be nosy. And if you feel annoyed by it, remember the only reason we're doing it is just because our life depends on it. It's no big deal. And so when you are annoyed with us and you want to tell us to shoo, remember what shoo means. It means that we just want to be seen, heard, and understood. That's it. So anytime you feel like, gosh, I just need to get out of this and like go to meeting, just remember before I shoo them, have I made them feel seen, heard, and understood? Because again, we'll forget to ask questions. We will ask a stupid question. We will do everything that we can because we just want to be alive. And I think like when my dad got his angiosarcoma and got sick, I always thought that, when I was sick, like when my mom was like talk about me in the third person or like detail to my boyfriend at the time, like what my poop schedule had been that day. I was like, oh, she's so annoying. Like, why is she doing this? And I'd get like annoyed at her, but then I'd feel really bad that I'm like, oh, she gave up her life to come take care of me. And I'm getting annoyed at her. Like, I'm such an asshole. But then when my dad got sick, all I could do was the wrong thing. Like, I kept being too much. I kept doing all the things my mom was doing. And it taught me such compassion for her and for, being a caretaker and being a patient. I've seen both sides. I've never been a doctor. I've played one on TV. Not actually, I wish, just in my mind when I was playing Grey's Anatomy at the hospital. But I just think that, looking at the different perspectives within care teaches us so much compassion and helps you to be better doctors, us to be better patients, and for any caretaker to just be a better caretaker, to know that we are loved and taken care of no matter what, even if we do all the wrong things and scream at our sister about anchovies while dad's getting his chemo. And then there is a number 6 on here that is silent, and that is that we just love you so much. Like, please know that we love you so much. My new oncologist is pregnant. I think I brought her like 5 onesies, and she eventually said, you need to stop bringing me gifts because you are the patient and I'm fine. I was like, I know, but like, I love you so much and it's so cute that you're having a baby. Like, I love it. So if you'd like to be friends, I do post a lot on social media. All my socials are at the Annie Bond. I'm mostly on Instagram and TikTok. I do speak at events all over about this type of topic. Happy to always do a cancer themed Taylor Swift or Beyonce sing along, bring my guitar. That's been a really fun one. Anything you need with patient advocacy, anything like that, feel free to email me or contact me. And also, if you have metastatic patients, especially those of us that are young, I was 26 when I was diagnosed, no family history. And the reason I started making content was because when I was diagnosed, there was nobody like me online. There was no one I could look at to be an example. Now there's so many of us. So if you have somebody newly diagnosed and they want a little hope, they want a little representation, please send them my way. I will always talk to anybody I can, refer them to anybody if they don't have my same type of illness, refer them to somebody that they can talk to. As we say in this community, it is the best club with the worst initiation ever. But I mean, the members are incredible. The advocacy is incredible. And the community is truly life-saving because we need each other. We just do. And mostly we need you doctors to keep caring about us so much. So thank you for believing in metastatic breast cancer, for having hope in the future of treatments, for helping us to treat side effects and live not only just a life, but one that is of great quality. So thank you so much for that. And thank you, Caroline, for doing this and having me. And I wish I could hug everybody. So here's
Thank
a group
you.
hug.
Thank you so much. Does anyone have questions? Nope.
That's all good.
Oh, we do have a question.
Go for it.
Okay, well, I'm going to let her share that. He wants to know why you went to City of Hope rather than one of the great hospitals in Texas.
A great question, because MD Anderson is where my dad's life was saved, and I probably will be transferring my care there. I was living in Los Angeles at the time. So I actually just moved back to Texas this year because I missed the farm. I wanted to come back to the farm. But in LA, I went to a few different hospitals. My first oncologist, when he told me he would fire me it felt like, this isn't good bedside manner. Like, I should go talk to somebody else. So I went and got multiple opinions. And City of Hope is just somewhere where I immediately felt like I understood my diagnosis. I never understood it from anybody else. Nobody had ever mentioned luminal B to me or taught me anything about that. And also at City of Hope, there's a gate in the Rose Garden because one of the most beautiful hospitals. They've got a Zen garden, a rose garden, a statue garden, like a sculpture garden. And in the Rose Garden, there's a gate that says, there is no profit to curing the body if in the process we destroy the soul. And I think that City of Hope is definitely a place that lives up to that. Like I've always felt like they've cared for my whole body and mind and my soul because there's so much that changes when you're diagnosed with this disease. But I've spent a lot of time at MD Anderson and I know there's some great hospitals in San Antonio as well. So I'm actually very excited to transfer my care over and get some of this good Texas care because I do love Texas.
Well, thank you so much for being here with us today. If it's, I'm sorry it wasn't in person.
How it goes with these flights
Try to
these
come back
days.
to Kentucky another time.
I know. It was all over a tow light too. Deplane 3 times over a tow light. What a crazy day.